Hello, and welcome back to my Pyanodons challenge run. During the last episode, besides a bunch of bits and bobs to have my base working better, I focused on improving my iron processing, mostly so I could make hydrogen for my Relesias. And that went fine, other than the fact that I don't have enough energy to run that full time. I still got 15,000 iron plates out of it, so that's pretty good, about 5 caravans loads worth. But lack of energy is going to be an ongoing theme, as what I was planning to do during this episode was improving my aluminum production. But then I saw that the improved aluminum to get 7.5 plates per second, half a belt, requires that I have another 150 megawatts. So, yeah, I'm still going to build out the build, but it's probably not going to be running at all because on the balance, I would still like more iron. More power is a significant problem because there's three technologies that I need to get to pick up the biomass power plants, which is kind of the next real step in power production. So I don't want to expand with kind of like a stopgap solution. I did that last time with that huge steam step setup that I then ended up tearing down as soon as I hit Pi 1 pretty much. Instead, I've got another idea for that, and that's one of the things I worked on during hands-off mode, besides planning out my aluminum build and what else I need to do. I started extending my train network, and that's when I noticed that my octagon doesn't tile well with other octagons, so I had to make some minor adjustments to that, as well as putting down some power poles to connect up the octagons and putting down circuit lines for all of those. So, what else? Oh, I need to make more tin. That's going to be also on the agenda today. Yeah, I think that covers it all. Let's jump into the episode and see how I go along with all of this. Before I jump into hands on mode, let's look at the technologies that I need to pick up for better energy generation, what the problem is. Problem is that I need all three of these. And this is about 270K worth of research or 13 at 14 hours at my current rate. So yeah, they also don't really give me anything to work on until I get to the very end. Here I could put down a salt mine. Doesn't really help. Here I'm not going to build the aerial turbines. Here, this is what I want: biomass power plants. Instead, I'm going to start putting things on the train network. And like I said during voiceover, I started working on that during the hands-off period, extending my train line, fixing these diagonals because they didn't tile properly, and putting down power poles between all of this stuff. So yeah, get a jump on that train work. But for right now, let's go into hands-on mode and go work on my mall a little bit. Because yeah, it still has problems. One of the problems is the circuitry in here was not built for negative demands. I kind of switched over to that at the end of building out this mall blueprint and didn't get this working right. So I've got a better solution for that. Let's tear it down and put this back. Almost the same, but I want to make sure I get the wires right. Then I need to actually check two cells before so that the inserter has time to read what it needs. All right, let's test that out. Yep, it grabbed a steam engine. Perfect. Grab another one? Yes, it does. Okay, don't actually need steam engines. I'll put in a few requests here and then get to work on fixing some other mistakes in the mall, like missing inserters, or one case I needed to ship in glass and didn't ship in the glass. Now that a lot of the caravans had actually arrived, it's much easier to debug this mall than when I was doing it in theoretically. So this is what I'm going to work on for a bit. Be back soon. All right, that is fixed up, or as well as I can tell. Some of these toward the end still haven't gotten all the simple circuits, and several of them still don't have their intermetallics. So let's go work on getting more aluminum to this system. Um, this is the build that I had intended to do for improved aluminum, but this is the build that I'm actually going to do. It's just going to be more furnaces for now. So yeah, but I still need to build some stuff to get onto this, and I think I will build this build as well. So I'm going to collect materials. I did put in some demand on them all for right now, but it's going to be things for next session, not this session. At the moment, I need to build these buildings by hand myself, because otherwise they won't get done in time. And here's this aluminum build that I am not going to end up using right now. The aluminum build is a pretty simple processing recipe. So in here, you'd have aluminum ore coming in. The aluminum ore gets fed to a ball mill, which turns it into powdered aluminum and gravel. The gravel I have to extract and send off, but the powdered aluminum gets sent to an electric arc furnace, which is the real power cost here. This whole thing would take 150 megawatts plus to run. And that's actually accurate to real life. I've read that refined aluminum is considered like congealed or solidified electricity because of just how power intensive it is to make. So anyway, you take graphite rods, which I guess are used as part of the electrolysis process, borax, and the powdered aluminum, and you get molten aluminum out. I'm making the graphite rods on site because the recipe is roughly correct, ratioed for them. It's a little bit under, but I'm okay since it gives me direct insertion. And yeah, you take that, you send it to a casting unit, and the casting units pretty much always take sand casts, hot air, the molten metal. Sometimes they take something else, but it's pretty uniform that it takes these three ingredients, at least for the plates. The sand casts, I guess, are plate shaped. So, yeah, like I said, not going to turn this on. Going to fix the fact that it's got a pipe network distance problem, but then I will go on to other things. In particular, I'm not going to turn it on because I need to extract coke from this build. Right now, I'd rather have this build making more power, and also figuring out why it's not making... I guess it doesn't run all the time. That's okay. So yeah, let me fix this pipe network thing. Rather fix it up at the top end rather than at the bottom end. All right, so that casting unit is in place, and I will be feeding it sand casts directly from the place where I make them. So that's a nice little bit of efficiency. But for right now, the aluminum is going to continue to be made by furnacing it. But this will at least give me some extra aluminum coming in. So I will have to add some more smelters to make more duralumin, which is the real bottleneck here. Also, I will need, or I don't need to, but I'm going to shut off my brake production, because brakes are actually the thing that is causing me to consume all my duralumin before it hits the intermetallics. So with that off, and yeah, it looks like the caravans don't pull from the like an inserter will pull from the cleared area to kind of pull it out, but I guess the caravans do not. That's okay. Let me get rid of that aluminum ore I've got on me. Actually, I'll just feed it to a smelter right here. Off to make more smelters. You're back. All right, now this is taken care of. Next item is I want to make more tin production. Although I actually am going to also add more, what were these things called? I think heating something or other. Heat exchangers? No. Yeah, heat exchangers. Not to be confused with the regenerative heat exchangers over here. They're just regular heat exchangers and much more expensive than the regenerative ones for some reason. I'm going to make more of these as well since I will add more tin mining and therefore will need more steam up there. Kind of just waiting out some handcrafting. Maybe I could have picked up some materials to make this faster. But yeah, I'm really short on duralumin, so need to focus on making sure that aluminum's working. I'm going to put some tanks down there because sometimes I'm kind of feast or famine on the amount of coal gas that I get. So some buffer tanks would be helpful there. Yeah, I'm just going to make, I don't know, a few more than I've got right now. There we go. And yeah, I'm feast or famine because sometimes my syngas production takes up all of the coal gas. So not right now. The regulation that I put on my power generation is doing a pretty good job of managing my fluids at this point. Really happy to have that combinator in there. Anyway, I'm going to go back to tin production. But one of the things I decided to do with tin was to switch it back from using wood for all the furnaces to using coal, partially because I got the improved coal recipe, so now I have a much better fuel source when I pass the raw coal through the secondary crushers, and partially because I'm going to need more wood in the future, and I don't really want to build wood. Wood is an intensive process, so I was using this all this treated and regular wood because it was just a nice to have, nice to use thing. But then, yeah, I want to switch this over to back to not wood, which means that I need to deal with the ash, like all the standard headaches. Although it's also nice that ash right now is a more useful product than it used to be. Don't have to solid separate it anymore. I can just put it into a caravan and feed it to my automation science build. All right, and that seems to be working just fine at the moment. Um, yeah, I do need to put in a couple more heat exchangers, but otherwise this build is going well. I think I will also be switching my lead production up there to use coal fuel products, because that's a lot of furnaces that are burning wood at the moment. Okay, that sorts out all of my tin problems and lead. I've got these feeding into the furnaces now, although they've still got kind of a buffer of treated wood, and I need to get rid of that log caravan outpost. So I'm going to be shuttling around a few piles of material in my inventory, including all this treated wood. Take care of that, and then find a bunch of smaller things to address in my task list. While I'm stopping in on this region, I can see that my coal miners need a little bit of pruning, so I'm going to take care of that. Fortunately, I think all of these, except maybe this one, goes to um, get merged into a bunch of splitters, so losing them is not that much of a problem. But this one is, so I'll have to. What is this one going to? It's just making ash, so not the worst thing in the world if it starts to limp because there's plenty of ash production at the moment. Was just checking in on a task that I knew I had in my list that was in this area. I fixed up aromatics to plastic zinc mining a little bit. Seems like I do not have a bunch of extra aromatics, but when I do, now it will overflow to the zinc mining, which hasn't been running because it was stuck on a improper valving. My mall has already made me, looks like about 57 moss farms, which is one thing I just asked it to do at the start of the episode. So it is working. Moss farms are probably going to be gated by, well, I have an aluminum. What is it being gated by? A lack of air core inductors. So I'm going to have to sort out bottlenecks like that. I know simple circuits are a bottleneck, intermetallics are going to be a bottleneck, but air core inductors, didn't expect that. I'm sure I can make some more though. All right, on to some minor tasks, maybe a larger one too. Fixed iron lined circuits. I actually did that while I was in my bootstrap base. This was not getting fed, and it's still not getting fed. Is my iron processing? Looks like iron processing 2 is having some issues. Let me look at what I can do to fix this up. Yeah. Okay, so lots and lots of dying miners over here. I think I can probably rectify some of this by shuffling around lines, but that's not great. This is why, even though I could choose to run my new aluminum build with the excess power that I make occasionally, I'm much happier having these casting units run. Yeah, they've run way more often now, up to 400 runs total, something like that. Which is, I mean, sounds doesn't sound like that many, but they make 75 iron plates at a time, so it's actually a decent chunk. Anyway, I'm going to go address my iron shortages over here and be right back. All right, the iron crisis was averted, but I still have quite a few little fixes I want to do. Um, the fact that the iron here is not flowing to circuits is a big problem. Where else is it getting diverted? Suppose it's getting diverted by this pipe build. Okay, I can take care of that. You're going to see it where other bottlenecks are. For instance, my steel doesn't seem to be coming through either. There's going to be a lot of bottlenecks and things that need to catch up as this mall fills itself with supplies. But hopefully, over the next 3 hours, that's going to happen. All right, let's look at more tasks. Okay, so I need to add a couple more caravans to my slaughter 2 area. Because, yeah, it wasn't quite consuming as much jerky as I needed to. I'll add a few more down there. I also need to fix a pipe. So might as well do that. And I'm going to hop on my train to do it because I've got another stop that I need to go to after that. All right, there we go. That's fixed. Next stop is I missed a couple of power poles in my molten glass area over here, so I will take care of those. Noticed that when I was putting down these row of power poles into my train octagon number 2 over here, or at least the start of it. Next stop is going to be my iron processing area, so let's head over by train. I've got one fix somewhere in here, and also I need to take away all these jaw crushers. All right, I've done all the fixes that I want to my iron processing 1 area. It seems like it's pretty much every episode that it needs a little bit of maintenance. So let's see what else I need to do. Let's check my task list. I've knocked out the mall repairs, or as best as I could. Fixed coal and other stuff in iron processing 1. Fixed the molten glass. 6 missing power poles. I've made more tin. Actually, let's check on more tin. Because, yeah, this could be a problem if it doesn't work right. So ash is getting sorted out as it should be. See any ash accumulating here. This is supposed to extract through here, although it kind of hasn't gotten much coal through here. Lead is not as critical as tin is, though, because tin feeds Vrauk food and isn't feeding Vrauk food. Oh, no. Okay, I'll go fix that. I'll be right back. All right, a little belt manipulation, getting ash off of this at the same place and sending it up through here, which is also taking away ash. That fixes that. All right, next item. I would like to see if I can fix air core inductors to run a little bit faster. So let me look at that. They're made in the circuit area, which is very full, but I think I can do something here. Be right back. I'm actually not getting that much copper through. That is surprising. Something else to dig into. Okay, I'll go look at that. I also want to prioritize air core inductors and simple circuits to go to my mall area. Yeah, duralumin is doing. Duralumin is backed up on aluminum. That is awesome. I can add some more smelters as well right after I figure out what's going on with my copper area. Copper. There is lots of copper coming through here. In fact, it's even getting jammed a bit, so I could, yeah, maybe add a belt balancer here. Okay, I'll do that. All right, duralumin's looking better, and that should feed my mall quite a bit better now. Let's hope I get a lot done. 80 moss farms already, and a bunch of mechanical parts. That's fantastic. I have been extracting inserters here as well, and some power poles. Get me started. I'll have to look at during the hands-off period what the bottlenecks are, but speaking of, think it is time to go into hands-off mode. I've got nearly 3 hours to do research. In fact, let's look at my research real quick before I say goodbye to you. Really like construction bots and fluid wagons, and now that I have a plan to take care of energy generation, I think I'll grab those next. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I will see you guys next time.